For now, we're going to turn to the mysterious death of an aspiring young model. NBC's John Yang is in St. Louis with details on this story. John, good morning.
Good morning, Ann. It's not just that a 27-year-old woman, a seemingly healthy 27-year-old woman, suddenly died. It's where she died. She was in the home of her boyfriend, August Busch IV, the former chairman of Anheuser-Busch and the great-great-grandson of the founder of the fabled brewery. At 27, aspiring model Adrienne Nicole Martin was on her way up.
Everything seemed to be coming together in her life.
But her life came to a mysterious end in a wealthy St. Louis suburb.
Emergency 911.
Yeah, we need an ambulance.
Okay, what's the problem?
This girl's just not waking up. We can't get her to...
Is she breathing?
Yeah, we don't know. It's dark back there. I'm going to get a light and try and see.
Paramedics found Martin dead in the 16-room mansion of her boyfriend, August Busch IV.
We are proud to announce that blood drive will be available nationally.
At 46, he's the heir and former CEO to the Anheuser-Busch dynasty, which was sold to InBev in 2008, ending 156 years of family control.
They've been dating for about a year. It seemed to have been a positive relationship.
According to police, there were no apparent signs of trauma or other indications of cause of death.
In a case like this, when you see no evidence of trauma to the victim's body, you have to consider some type of natural cause or perhaps some type of overdose.
According to her ex-husband, she had a rare heart condition. Friends say Martin was not a drug user and describe her as a friendly woman, a divorced mother who once worked at Hooters and was pursuing a master's degree in art therapy.
To make any type of criminal case out of this, it's going to have to be her cause of death and who may have had some responsibility for that death.
In a statement, Busch's lawyers said there was absolutely no indication of any suspicious circumstances in what he called the tragic, untimely death of a young person. A very nice young person, in fact. In his 20s, Busch had some run-ins with the law.
We are looking at someone who is a known playboy, who has a daredevil past.
In 1985, he was accused of trying to run down 2 detectives during a police chase. He was acquitted. When he was a college freshman in 1983, the black Corvette Busch was driving crashed, and his passenger, a 22-year-old woman, was killed. Police found him at his home 6 hours later, disoriented and with a fractured skull. No charges were ever filed.
From an investigator point of view, law enforcement is going to want to know where she died, what time she died, what was the condition of her body at the time of death. These questions with the autopsy and the toxicology, that will determine whether or not a case will be filed.
Those toxicology reports could take 4 to 6 weeks to come back, and it won't be until then that officials will make an official determination of the cause of death. Ann?
All right, John Yang this morning. John, thanks. Julie McIntosh is a former writer for the Financial Times, and she covered the Busch family extensively for her book, Dethroning the King, The Hostile Takeover of Anheuser-Busch, an American Icon. Julie, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Well, writing your book, you learned a lot about August Busch IV. How would you characterize him?
I would say that he's a little bit of a tortured soul. He has spent his whole life trying to live down those 2 altercations, run-ins with the law when he was in his 20s, and has never really been able to. And I learned a great deal about him both as a CEO and as an individual. He had a very difficult relationship with his father, August Busch III, and they have had an antagonistic and difficult relationship their whole lives. And it was something that undermined his job as a CEO and has made his life very trying at points.
So now comes word about the mysterious death of Adrienne Martin. What do you make of that? And also, why do you think the police report was held for days after her death?
I spent a good amount of time in St. Louis, both writing a book and since it's been published. And the Busch family wields a lot of power in the city of St. Louis, and people were suspicious when he had the high-speed chase with cops. They were suspicious that the police took so long to release a lot of detail, and that he got off in the jury trial. So I've chatted with a few people in St. Louis in this go-round, and they seem to think that there is a little bit of, not necessarily complicity by the cops, but the cops may treat the Busch family a little bit more gently than they might treat others. In the same vein, the family has been incredibly philanthropic, and they've spent tens of millions of dollars in St. Louis Busch Stadium is named after the Bushes, clearly, and people feel very strongly about the Busch family and are in many ways very positive about them.
As John Yang just reported, we're waiting for the toxicology reports that may indicate the cause of Adrienne's death. Could you tell us sort of what the risks are for August Busch? In other words, could this affect his position, for example, as a member of the board of directors of the company?
Right, I would say that's the clearest major issue going forward. He's not the CEO of the company anymore, for certain, but he is a board member of Anheuser-Busch InBev. He's actually the only holdover from the old company. And whether he's charged with anything or not, whether this becomes a legal issue, the board may have to make a determination as to whether this situation is something they feel comfortable with.
All right, Julie McIntosh. Julie, thanks so much for getting up early and talking to us about this morning. And coming up next, a wildlife wipeout, the mysterious roads that are threatening to destroy the Serengeti, plus much more on this fierce winter storm that stranded thousands of post-holiday travelers. But first,